And we are continuing now with our special report.
We're taking a deeper look at police use of force across the country, in which some cases have sparked protests and even riots.
Amidst the public outcry, a call for reform and more transparency from police.
In response to protests, lawmakers unveiled a handful of police oversight bills.
Was that action provoked? Was this use of force justified?
All the goodwill that you try to put into the bank every day of the week, 7 days a week, this police department is making deposits in our savings account, deposits in our checking account.
But even if the department works to take 2 steps forward from such damaging video, it almost always seems more footage surfaces to push police 1 step back.
The only thing we can do in response to it is fight to put that community goodwill back into that account.
There's really quite a bit of momentum right now as a result of the events of the past year and a half.
Douglas Weissman is the training section commander for Cincinnati Police and vividly remembers the riots of 2001.
How you were taught to handle things in 2001 compared to what you're teaching now, how different is that training?
That's a really good question. The intensity has went up. We train more. There's a greater emphasis on de-escalation techniques. After 2001, we went into a electronic database system. It calculated patterns of conduct for us based on use of force reports.
It was a new way of monitoring officers. Their every decision put into a computer, compared and analyzed.
How many complaints do you have? What do they each say? What did you do? How many pursuits? How many tasings?
So there's really been a lot of progress, and that's probably one of the best things that's happened.
In May, Cleveland and the Justice Department reached a consent agreement that will oversee changes in the police department.
Our goal is to have real reform that will be sustainable. This agreement is a major step in getting us to that point.
We want all our officers to be trained because, again, there are components within crisis intervention training that officers can use in everything.
Police officers here in Cleveland need to just look across Lake Erie to the city of Detroit for answers as to what it's like to deal with federal oversight of the department. And one thing Cleveland can learn from Detroit?
They grow up being scared of the police.
A city's journey through the winding road of a consent decree.
Yeah, everything's good. Yeah.
We're not so used to seeing you guys like that. It was like,
right?
Scared us.
In Detroit, that road has been going 12 long years. Sergeant Ruiz admits federal oversight has had a big impact on many officers on the force, now required to wear body microphones. Training has doubled.
Having to qualify with our weapon every 6 months, as opposed to before it used to be every year. Having to go to training a lot more often. Being trained more on culture awareness, being trained more on how to handcuff somebody, being trained more on how to approach people.
On Tuesday, the San Diego City Council gave the go-ahead to buy 144 more body cameras. The department claims everyone's behavior improves when they know they're being recorded.
Officers want to use force as a last resort. And that's, again, it's determined on the suspect's actions.
When our officers know how closely we look at it, they police themselves better, but they also police the officers around them better.
But will it make a difference in the numbers?
We have variability across place in terms of how they keep their records, local laws, local policies. So all of these present challenges in terms of collecting a standardized, uniform collection on use of force.
The FBI has for decades collected and published data on officers assaulted and injured in the line of duty. Well, if you can collect data on one side of the equation, you ought to be able to collect the other side. There's really no excuse for this.
While it's been a turbulent year for the community, the alderman believes the majority of people have helped make positive strides forward.
Many people want things to just get back to normal. And that's a struggle because normal wasn't working for everybody. And so we have to find a new normal where more people feel included and that it is more just and fair.
You want a single or a double?
Across the street, Ferguson Burger Bar still stands untouched by rioters. Like the signs on his wall, Charles Davis sees signs of positivity.
It took us this long to get here. It was a long time. I mean, it's been this way for a long time. So it's just not going to change overnight. It's not going to just say, poof, okay, it's all better overnight.
Plain truth is on the lack of a national database on people shot and killed by the police, just simply indifference. People in authority just haven't cared.
The United States of America. Every member of this community expects, deserves the protection of law enforcement that has an effective, responsible, respectful, and most importantly, constitutional way of doing business.
Right now, of course, our biggest mission is trying to make sure that we have public confidence and public trust in what the men and women do on the streets every single day.
And in light of all these incidences, the FBI has announced a new effort to track all incidents where officers injure or kill someone, but they're still working out how this voluntary system would work, meaning police would have to volunteer the information. They should have a proposal together by the middle of next year.
Now, experts that we spoke with worry that it will fall short unless there's a federal funding that requires participation, or a legislative mandate. Of course, Four in Your Corner and Scripps investigative teams across the country will continue working to put police use of force into focus, including right here in Southwest Florida.
And as is always the case on Fox 4 News, when we report on something, we want to hear from you. You can always talk to us at news@Fox 4 Now. And remember, you can also post on our Facebook, post to Twitter. We hope you will join us tonight for Fox 4 News at 10 and 11.
Have a good night. We'll see you then.